Holy people all around, it's me, your daughter coming before you at this time. Call upon you, our holy grandmothers, grandfathers, all the holy helpers that you provide for us here on this earth. Just want to say that we've come gathered in the name of beauty, in the name of right relations. We've done our best to make a beautiful opening and pathway for the prayers of our elders here, the elder life bringers, our grandmothers here. So I want to say thank you for coming when we call. And I want to say thank you for hearing our hearts and our prayers. I ask that you bless each of these grandmothers and all that they do, and all the grandmothers all over the world, all grandfathers all over the world, all the children, grandchildren. Thank you.
Morning. Morning. Blessings to you and much love and light. Strogan here. Thank you. I would like to read to you the grandmother's statement. These are the words that we put together the first time that we came together in 2004. We, the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, represent the global alliance of prayer, education, and healing for our Mother Earth, all her inhabitants, all the children, and for the next 7 generations to come. We're deeply concerned with the unprecedented destruction of our Mother Earth and the destruction of indigenous ways of life. We believe the teachings of our ancestors will light the way through an uncertain future. We look to further our vision through the realization of projects that protect our diverse culture, lands, medicine, language, ceremonial ways of prayer, and through projects that educate and nurture our children. Blessings to you.
When I grew up, there were signs on places where I grew up. Dogs and Indians are not allowed. It was a hard thing to overcome at those times. But you know, we've come a long ways, this is us indigenous people. We are strong, we're getting stronger. With your love and your support, we can get the right to be recognized and to stop what is happening to us in the indigenous world. We want justice. We want equality. It's long overdue. Long overdue. Yes. Right.
James O.D. did a beautiful job drafting this Declaration of Commitment to Indigenous Peoples. And do you mind if I say that it began, and we were calling it a Declaration of Apology, but it actually moved in the right way, I feel, to become the Declaration of Commitment to Indigenous Peoples, which is a far more powerful document, and you'll see that in a moment. When the Declaration is read, we want to ask all the people who identify themselves as Indigenous peoples to come to hear it, and we will ceremoniously offer it to the people. This man, James O.D., he is a beautiful soul. I mean, he's a person who has been in war-torn regions, who has seen great suffering, and has learned how to move through that and to find joy and laughter. His beautiful new book called Cultivating Peace begins that way, talking about how you need to find the laughter, find the joy. Yes, there has been suffering. Yes, there has been trauma. And James has witnessed much of that. But he comes out of it with that beautiful dancing eyes and his aliveness about this. And that's what I love about James. Yeah, he's been the president of IONS, and before that he was the executive director of Amnesty International and also SEVA. So he comes with so many gifts in working to serve the people. He's been in service for a very long time.
Thank you. I'm an Irish citizen, who lives with some permission, I guess, I don't know from whom, in this country. My youngest son was asked by his little friend when he was about 4 years old, "What does your father do?" And he said, "My father is president of the aliens." We have arrived. Right. So actually, not long after I came to the States, my sons were very young. We were going south and we stopped at a little camping site. And it was time for bed, and they went to the washrooms and were washing. And I saw a very gentle, elderly man. And I thought to myself, this man is an Indigenous elder of some kind. I went up and I asked him, "Are you Native American?" He said, "Yes." And I called my 3 sons over and I said, "Boys, this man is a representative of the first peoples of this land. You should always respect them. You should always respect these people." And then they washed and went to bed. And in the morning, the elder and his son came to our tent with gifts. And it shattered my heart. It really opened me wide, because I thought, this is both the gift and the wound being represented here. That I was doing what any father in the United States of America should do and say, honor and respect your Indigenous elders, your Indigenous peoples. And that experience brought forth these gifts, these expressions of connection. And I felt both, as I said, the gift and the wound of those who had not been respected, and who, for just a random person offering to teach his children respect, it brought out so much feeling, so much tenderness. So after that, I dedicated to do some more work on Indigenous people. And what I found was, wow, there's an amazing interest in Native spirituality in the United States. You can go to stores, you open books, you open magazines, and it's everywhere. And I thought, well, this is exciting, this is interesting. But then I got a call when I became director of the SEVA Foundation from Lorelei Decora. Some of you might have heard of her. She helped found the Porcupine Clinic on Pine Ridge Reservation. And she said, I have a dream to go back to my own people, the Ho-Chunk people, and work on diabetes, because we're dying of diabetes. Even children, adolescents, are showing up with type 2 diabetes. And will you help raise the funds for that? And I said, sure. And it was in doing that work that I realized there's a big gap. There's a huge gap between embodying that respect as service, as help, as connection, as collegiality, and admiring and connecting with the spirituality. Honoring the spirituality is great, but if you do not do that legwork, that human homework of connecting, Where are these people? What do they need? How do I help them? Native American college funds, health funds, lots of ways to express that commitment. So what we're putting together in this declaration of commitment is that commitment. This is not a statement to governments. Guess why? Right? This is a declaration of commitment from us to us. From us, from the people to the people, saying we have been absent. We have been missing in our responsibility to each other, and we are going to correct it. These are the times to correct those errors. And what I discovered with Lorelei doing the diabetes work is that, as you know, Native Americans have the highest level of diabetes on planet Earth. And so would you if you had been told your culture was worthless. So would you be sick if you thought that every meaning that you believed was dishonored. It's not just the food that makes you sick. It's the lack of respect. It's the diminution of your culture. It's the raiding of your culture. And Indigenous peoples the world over have experienced this kind of raiding of their land, of their traditions. Exactly. So what we saw in that diabetes talking circle was people beginning to talk about the connection between the food and the meaning and the rituals. And after the children had grown the corn and learned how to dry the corn and learned the corn dance, we began to see the weaving of the culture and the meaning and the health come back on that Ho-Chunk reservation. And this work got a Center for Disease Control's award for its work on diabetes, because we put together the culture, the story, the honoring, the dance, and the final part of it, which was so wonderful for me to see, was that the children, the young adolescents, danced the corn dance and gave bags of dried corn to the elders. And there was only one elder left in that community who had known the corn dance. So again, it was just in time to build that connection of meaning. So I ask you, we're going to be sending out this statement of commitment, this declaration of commitment, worldwide on the September 21st, next week, International Peace Day. It's going to be part of connections through the United Nations system, through the world system, where we're asking 1 million people on the planet, 1 million people like you and me, to sign this declaration and to honor it, to begin to enact that statement of commitment and responsibility.
We'd like to invite all of the Indigenous people, Native people. I understand there's people from New Zealand, other Indigenous people of the world to come forward, to stand here around in a circle to be part of this declaration ceremony.
Doesn't take as long to read as it looks. Declaration of Commitment to Indigenous Peoples. Humanity faces a time in our evolving story when we must harness our deepest collective wisdom in order to survive and even thrive as a healthy, peaceful, and sustainable planetary civilization. In the course of humanity's journey, we have many great achievements to celebrate and honor, but we have to acknowledge what has been misguided, damaging to each other, and harmful to all life. It is time for healing and a new beginning. Great skill is now needed to reconnect the bonds of our collective interdependence on behalf of all of Earth's diverse peoples and cultures, and to restore an original contract with our planet's ecosystem, and its intricate design for all life. We cannot evolve skillfully at this vital juncture in our collective story if we fail to integrate the teachings of our wisdom keepers. Both reason and conscience require that the precious wisdom of Earth's indigenous peoples be fully acknowledged. Their skillful ways of living in harmony with nature and its laws have too often been marginalized and ignored. Humanity has paid a great price for destructive actions committed against indigenous peoples. In the name of religion, profit, and progress, some of humanity's greatest knowledge about the interrelationship of all life forms has been placed in jeopardy. Increasing numbers of people now recognize the importance of supporting the transmission of this essential wisdom. It is in this spirit of deep recognition and appreciation for the value of Indigenous wisdom that we, the signatories to this declaration, hereby proclaim our commitment to the following. Apology is due to Indigenous peoples for the suppression and the violation of their cultures and ways of being. We invite communities, institutions, local authorities, and even governments to formally and informally offer sincere apology for past actions that resulted in cultural oppression and denigration. Responsibility for past violations, wounding, and discrimination must be expressed in truthful historical narratives and educational materials. We recommend the formation of local and national initiatives to take responsibility for the past and explore the nature of Indigenous wisdom. We encourage support for the production of a wide array of accessible media and curricular materials to set the record straight and ensure the accurate and appropriate transmission of native wisdom teachings. Reconciliation must be sought so that healing may occur between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. We call on representatives of public and private institutions to seek ways to engage in meaningful acts and processes of reconciliation through ceremony, presentations, and gatherings. Collaboration in mutual contexts relating to health, environment, sustainable economies, and educational opportunities will constitute an essential dimension of expressing sincere apology, acknowledging responsibility, and fostering reconciliation. To these ends, we encourage collaboration with Indigenous communities and institutions to optimize our collective learning and healing in this pivotal time for all humanity. We, the undersigned, everyone at this conference, please pledges our commitment to these ideals and the promotion of concrete actions to support respect for Indigenous peoples, a shared partnership for life on Earth, and the transmission of our collective wisdom.
Jai
Indigenous grandmothers to share as they will. With all Indigenous peoples, share it with the world. Thank you. Thank you. So, we've had an incredibly beautiful morning. We've satisfied something very, very deep and profound within us. Pat wants to say something? Yes. Okay.
I really want to thank my elder brother, James O'Day. And I want to say that I had the opportunity to sit and listen to Desmond Tutu talk about the truth and reconciliation process in South Africa. And it was very inspiring to me. He's a very charismatic speaker and person. And I thought to myself, what would truth and reconciliation process look like in the United States? And I said, who would we call on? And I had the same thought that my elder brother James had, which is that if we could call upon the people to witness for the people, that we could heal ourselves, that we could take care of ourselves. So to me, this is such a dream come true. At that time, I held a vision that I brought up at this dialogue before, of somehow creating a global wiping of the tears ceremony. Wherein the people can witness in the Lakota wiping of the tears ceremony, as I have experienced it. What we do is if a family has lost a loved one, we call upon them to come at a certain time. There's different time frames that different people see, but at a certain time we call upon them to come. And we say, your community is going to hold you now. We understand that you've had a loss. We also have had a loss, so we know what that is. We know what it feels like. But now, we as your community are inviting you to put down your grief. Your process will continue. But we are inviting you to look to that time when that grief will come to an end. We are calling upon you to rejoin the community. We are calling upon you to recommit to the future and to that goodness that you have in your life that you can still bring to the community. And we will be here for you. So for me, to hear this today is that first step that I couldn't quite understand how to bring about, James. Perhaps it is possible to do that here. With the suicides in our own community, we did hold a community wiping of the tears ceremony. But maybe we can hold that for our community here, so I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to say that we've called in our ancestors to be here with our songs, with our prayers from all the directions. So all of our lines stand behind us as we stand here together at this moment of healing and recognition, reconciliation, remembering. For those of us standing here, we're receiving it on their behalf. And so there's a song that we sing to honor our ancestors, and I'd like to sing that. And I thank the people from New Zealand for singing.
Haya
people throughout the world where this declaration was presented and read. So there were, I'm not sure, a couple of thousand or so people that were on this conference call. So this message has also gone out, and there's a website that is being launched where you can go on and also sign this declaration. And I encourage you and pray that you will all do that. And on the website, it also has the declaration which you can read and be familiar with what exactly, just like our relative here, James O'Day, read to you. So thank you. Blessings to all.
May we always have that beautiful radiance within us, because we are divine blessed beings, people. Joy, joy, joy to the universe. Joy, joy, joy to the universe. Truth, truth to the universe.
There are not many races here. There is only one race here. And we are the race of humans.